Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda and I haven't uploaded anything in like a month. Not that anyone's noticed. So my last video I said that I would be making a paranormal romance series list and this is that video. So a couple things before we get started. Like I said in my other video, paranormal romance and urban fantasy tend to mix a lot. So at the end of this video, if you still want some more recommendations, you can go ahead and check out that one. There'll be like a dozen more for you to look at. Also, my last video was the first video I ever uploaded to YouTube, so it was kind of a mess. Hopefully this one will be a little bit more put together. We'll see. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you a little trick that I use to find some new book series to read. Or you can just go ahead and skip to this time. One thing to note though, the books on this list, I have read all of them, or at least the first like 3 or 4 of the series, and some of them are not my favorite in the world, but a lot of people really like them, and so I wanted to recommend them to you so you can try them out, so you can form your own opinion, even though they may not be my particular brand of book that I like to read. They might be yours, so I always recommend getting like the sample first, and usually it's a free sample. Go ahead and read that. If you don't like it, whatever, but if you do, hey, cool. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first series is called the Edge series by Ilona Andrews, and this series takes place in a world called the Edge. So there are kind of like 2 dimensions in this world. There is a place called the Weird, which is where people with magical abilities live, and then there's a place called the Broken, which is like Earth, normal Earth, and like there's no magic and it's just regular society. In between these 2 dimensions, there's a place called the Edge, and that is where most of the series takes place. There are like people who have some magical abilities and some who don't, and they just have really weird creatures there, and it's kind of like a little bit dangerous, and like outlaws live there and stuff. So each book in the series has a different couple that they focus on. In the first book, it is Rose and Declan. Rose is an edger. She lives in the Edge, and she has a really strong magical talent, and a whole bunch of people want to like marry her and breed with her because they want her powers. And so she's been avoiding like people. And Declan, he is from the Weird. He's kind of like royalty, I guess, you know, in a sense over there. But he comes to the Edge on a mission trying to hunt down some guy and runs into Rose, and they kind of get together on this adventure and try to find the guy he's looking for. And they go on an adventure and they like find the bad guy and fall in love and have fun. And Ilona Andrews is one of my favorite authors. I read everything they write, and I always recommend their books to pretty much everybody I meet. So I recommend going to at least read the sample for the first book, and if you like it, keep on reading because it gets way better, and I love it. The second series is called the Out of Olympus series by Tina Folsom. The series deals with Greek mythology. So there is the real world, normal society, and the Greek gods live in secret in their own like universe or whatever. And this series also has a main couple for each book, and the first one is Triton and a girl named Ashlynn. Triton is Poseidon's son, I think, kind of forget, and Ashlynn is human, and they run into each other in like the human world and they fall in love, and he reveals who he is, and drama. And I guess if you really like mythology, you'll like this, because there's also a lot of the family drama that goes up with Greek mythology, which everyone who's read Percy Jackson knows. There's a lot of family drama. And the books after this deal with Dionysus, Hermes, and Eros. And I think there's going to be a couple more coming out later, maybe. But I like these books. I recommend them. I haven't actually read them in a while, so I'm kind of fuzzy on the details. But from what I remember, they were pretty good. Go check them out. Yeah, killing the recommendations. The next series is called the Bloodthirst series by Stephanie Jackson. Let me just say right off the bat, these are not the best books ever written, but for some unknown reason, I completely love them. So the main characters are Beck and Richard, and they go out through the entire series. Beck is human and Richard is a vampire. And they meet, well, it's a weird timeline. There's time travel. Beck technically meets Richard, but then he's like, you have to go back in time to meet me. So she goes back in time, and then she comes back, and it's like a different Richard, but it's still Rich. You have to read it. You know those books that have like the character can do like 50 things perfectly, and it's just like she has these just random amazing skills? It's kind of like that, and usually that would annoy me, but for some reason this series was just so fun for me. I don't understand why. I feel like I should not like it, but I'm just like, okay, I can deal with that. I really like the side characters, and they're so funny. I don't know, I could suspend my disbelief enough to really enjoy these. The next series is called the third series by Charlie Cochet. Anyways, this is an LGBT paranormal romance, specifically the G in LGBT, and it is a world of shifters and humans. In this world, the shifters are kind of looked down upon by humans, and they're forced to wear like identification tattoos on their neck. They're not like enslaved or anything, but it's like discrimination. And so the two main characters are Dex and Sloane. And Dex is human and Sloane is a shifter, and they're both cops. Dex gets transferred out of like the human precinct and is put into Sloane's group. And in Sloane's group, they're called the Thirds, and they are half human and half shifter, and they are specifically made to keep the peace between shifters and humans. And so they work together and they solve crimes and whatnot. And let me just say, this series is freaking hilarious. Dex is probably one of the funniest characters I have ever read. Oh, I love him so much. I think they go really well together because Dex is like a super smart ass, yet awesomely skilled at everything he does pretty much. And Sloane is like the mean, broody boss man. And the character dynamic is so awesome. I mean, it's been done 1,000 times, you know, but it's so well written in this series, and I absolutely adore it. If you like gay romance and like military mixed with like shifter, this is the book for you. Go read it. Hilarious. That's all I have to say. The next series is called The Lord of the Underworld series by Gena Showalter. And if you've been in the paranormal romance, urban fantasy world for any amount of time, you've probably heard of them. They are a group of men and a couple of girls, and they are possessed by the demons from Pandora's box. Like they open it and like the demons possess them and whatever. And so each book follows a new warrior who has their own demon. And in the first one, it is Maddox and Ashlynn, and Maddox has the demon of violence. And they meet and like she calms him, and yeah, so each book their respective demons pretty much get calmed down by their new partners. I can go ahead and say these books are not for everybody. There are quite a few of them. I think like 13, 14, 15 of them now. For me, the plot's been like drawn out a lot, and it's like, okay, we get it. Drama. I even skipped a couple books because I wanted to get to the next character. Again, I recommend reading either like the first sample or read the first couple books maybe, just to see if you like it, and if you don't, whatever. But if you like the Black Dagger Brotherhood series and series like that, you'll probably really enjoy this. The next series is called Tales of an Extraordinary Girl. That's a weird series name, but whatever. I'm just gonna refer to it as Playing with Fire. That's the name of the first book. This one is also written by Gena Showalter. She wrote the last series I just mentioned. She writes in a lot of different genres and subgenres, so even if you don't like one of her series, you might like another one of hers. It's really weird. I feel like the writing style changes. I just don't understand. But anyways, I love this series. This series is like superhero mixed with shifters, mixed with like paranormal. Oh, it's fantastic. So the two main characters are Belle and Rome, and Rome is like a secret agent, superhero, spy. This is a world of like secret agencies and superpowers and awesomeness. So the regular world society doesn't know about these people with powers, and they try their best to keep it a secret. They are like Marvel characters. It's fantastic. So Rome is actually a shapeshifter, but he wasn't born shapeshifter. I don't think there are any born shapeshifters in this world. He was experimented on by his agency that he works with, and they gave him these powers. And Belle, she's just a normal human, but she got slipped like a serum, like Steve Rogers style serum, but it gave her the ability to control like elements and stuff, like Avatar. She became the Avatar, but an Avatar who doesn't know how to control anything, which was the plot of the entire Avatar series. Anyways, this series was hilarious. Oh, I love it so much. If you didn't like Gena Showalter's Lord of the Underworld series, think about that as DC, and then this series as Marvel. It's so lighthearted and funny, and it has mystery and drama and romance and everything. They have hilarious nicknames. The side characters are adorable and witty one-liners. It'll make you laugh like every other page. I 100% recommend it. There's only 2 books out. I think there might be a 3rd one coming out. Maybe, I hope. I would read it in a heartbeat. Go read it. The next series is... How many times have I done this in this video? The next series is called the Scanguard Vampire series, also written by Tina Folsom. This series is kind of your stereotypical vampire, paranormal, erotica, romance series, and I have read every single book. So currently there's like 13, 14 books, and each book has its own couple, and it starts off the first one with Samson and Delilah, and Samson is a vampire, and Delilah is not. She's human. And I mean, each book has its own little plot, and it's pretty much just vampires finding love, like bonding with people, living happily ever after. There's actually kind of a lot of drama in this also. Most of the series also kind of like a little mystery in each book, which is actually really interesting, and I recommend them. Although the first book in the series is probably my least favorite. I think my favorite characters were either Zane or Thomas, a tie between those two. Their books were fantastic. I loved them. Anyways, I recommend trying out the first maybe couple books. It might be a little too cliche for some people. I mean, it just depends on your taste, but I mean, you do you. The next series is the Moonbound Clan series by Larissa Ione. She was also the author who wrote the Demonica series that I mentioned in my urban fantasy video. Although this series has no connection to that one, I don't think. The world in this series is mostly just vampires and humans, and the vampires are treated as slaves to the humans. They like collared and controlled and murdered, and it's kind of a lot. So there are like groups of vampires who run off into like the forest or whatever to avoid being enslaved, and there is this one clan called the Moonbound Clan, and that's the main group in this series. So the 2 main characters in the first book are Nicole and Riker is a vampire and he's part of Moonbound Clan, and Nicole is human, and she actually runs one of the companies who enslaves vampires, but she's kind of like not completely aware of what's going on. So she ends up inside of the Moonbound Clan, and eventually her and Riker fall in love. Anyways, this series is really cool. It has romance and mystery and like overthrowing, not like the government, but like corporations and subterfuge, stealth. It has a little bit of murder in it. Yeah. As always, I recommend you go check it out, see for yourself, decide for yourself whether you like it or not. Let me know in the comments if you liked it, or any of the books in this list, honestly. The last series on this list is called the Psychic Eye series by Victoria Laurie. The main character in the series is Abby Cooper, and she is psychic. She does readings and fortune tellings and whatnot. Then one day she goes on a date with this guy named Dutch, and then somehow they start talking about the news, and she reveals she knows who a murder suspect is, and turns out Dutch is a cop. So they get into a little, how do you know who killed this person? And she's like, oh, I'm psychic. And he's like, yeah, okay. But anyways, she eventually gets drawn into the investigation as a PI. Well, drawn in. She inserts herself into the investigation as a PI. So the first book, and I think all the other ones, have their own little mystery that they figure out, and Dutch and Abby work together to figure out and solve the crimes. The series actually has really nice mysteries, like they're well thought out, and it's not just like you know who the killer is from the first second, you know? But it's also still really lighthearted and humorous and funny and cute and romantic. So go check it out. I really enjoyed them. Although I haven't read all of them, I've read like the first few, and I really need to get on reading the next ones. I just haven't had the time, and or I keep on forgetting. Anyways, that was the last book, and so now time for my secret trick. It actually really isn't that secret. I actually mentioned it in my last video. But anyways, I'll mention it again. So if you Google like best heroines in urban fantasy, I think it will pop up this link. It goes to Goodreads. It shows you a list. I hopefully am scrolling it right now. It has a whole bunch of urban fantasy, paranormal romance series that have really like kick butt heroine protagonists. And if you've seen this video and my last one and you still need more recommendations, this is the place to go. I have not mentioned every book in here. There are some I still have yet to read. I need to get on that. I will do that eventually, possibly, maybe. That is the end of my video, so subscribe and like and comment and do all the things, and I will be back hopefully in less than a month this time with another video.